Hello, everybody. Hello. We've got folks over here on Insta. I got folks over here on YouTube. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So I'm going to be like going in between both, just so we know. Going in between both Insta and YouTube simultaneously. I want to welcome everybody here today. I know my darn chair is still squeaking. Anyway, Annie Husenheimer. Let's make sure you all can hear me over here. I don't want the ringtone. Okay. All right. So, welcome to Saturn in Aquarius. Day one. Hi, Anna. Thank you so very much. For those of you guys watching the replay, I'm Lisa, and this is Heart of Inspiration. And here at this channel, we help you lead a whole and healed, peaceful, and prosperous life. This is the channel and the home for the Lightworker, okay? For Lightworkers, period. In whatever fashion that you are. Hey, Miss Shona. So welcome to day one for the next 3 years. This is the day one of the next 3 years of Saturn in, oh gosh, in Aquarius. Let me also put a couple of things up. You guys know I like to do a little bit of house cleaning. Okay. I literally just put up moments ago on Instagram the special that I am running, okay, for the next, I don't know how long. We're running it for a while, okay, guys? And I'm going to put it over here as well on YouTube. Let me add this to the live stream. Add source. So we're going to be doing 40% off all readings for the next foreseeable future. So all live sessions are going to be 40% off. Okay, you have to go to my website in order to see that. Okay, go to my website in order to order that. And if we don't get some more people over here on Insta, I'm going to shut this down in a second. 40% off anything, okay, as far as live sessions. So go to heartofinspiration.net. We'll keep putting that up every once in a while. That is the special. So to all of my beautiful moderators, that's where we're at. Hey, Fit Goddess. Hey, Operator. Hey, Alpha Aries. Hello, Tiffany. So I wanted to be sure I got this one done, and we'll be doing some more. We'll be doing another live or two later on today. But let's get right into it. So for me, and I'm sure you're hearing this from a lot of different students of astrologers, period, you know, anybody spiritual in the know, this marks a new 20 some odd year cycle where humanity itself is going to be, and already has been, going under a restructure. How we think about things, how we look at things, how we interact with one another, how we in and of ourselves interact with spirit in a great big way. All of this is changing as we speak. And it will be becoming evolutionary over the next 3 years. Okay, we've already started the revolutionary revolution, and it's going to continue. Okay, we're not even, we've just started. We're just on the precipice. Okay, so this is nothing to be scared of. This is nothing to be upset about. This is nothing to be worried about. But this is very much a time, as I put in my title, for light workers to activate and actually begin to work in your purpose. Thank you, Shona. Thank you, darling. Activate and work in your purpose. As one that comes to you as a light worker, a light being that's here to assist you in your ascension and awakening process so that you can be released into your purpose, it's really, really important for us to understand the astrological energies and how this interacts just globally and individually moving forward. This is all hands on deck. I've been saying this for a long time to my Instagram folks, right? I've been saying this for a while. This is nothing new. This is not new information. This is all hands on deck. It's time for you to awaken, and it's time for you to activate and begin to understand how you even interact in this cosmos, in this world, is drastically changing. Okay? You gotta ride with it. We can't fight it. We can't get upset about it. We can't get to a point where we're just like, oh my God, I can't do this. Yes, you can. So I can't have y'all being worried and concerned either and in fear. This is ascension and elevation time. This is not going down into fear time. This is ascension and elevation time. Okay? So let's not get freaked out. This is an exciting time for those of us that have been making these changes and these evolutionary upgrades all throughout since 2012. And we're going to talk about a little bit about the last time Saturn was in Aquarius, which was about 26 years ago. 26, I think. I have a ton of notes here, so bear with me. All right, bear with me. So we're going to talk about that as well. Let's get into the charts, shall we? Let me put this here. Let's get into the chart. And actually, I'm going to add this source. Oh my gosh. You know, I don't know what's going on with my streaming software. Some other people I know have been having issues with these streaming software, and I'm starting to get kind of not happy. And I don't really have time to be trying to figure out something new. Anyway, let me stop muttering. All right, here we go. This chart is from the perspective. Hey, Gemini Princess. This chart is from the perspective of Saturn. Okay, as if Saturn were being born today, as Saturn has now entered into Aquarius. Okay, just so you guys can gain a perspective of what we're really looking at. Now, I'm not going to be able to see the chat, so just so y'all know, I'm not ignoring you. All right, so as if Saturn were born today in Aquarius, this is how the chart looks now. Now, let me see here, beloveds. Oh, yeah, there we go. My beautiful Instagram people are going to be looking at this from the... If you're on Instagram right now, you'd see I have this huge TV, and you're watching it from the TV perspective. Sorry, there you go. You're getting the backstage. All right. Here she is. He is, I should say, Saturn. Saturn being the great teacher, right? Enters Aquarius is the first time since 1994, 26 years ago. Okay? So Saturn is in Capricorn, is this really like secure, like really like hardcore, earthy energy, right? It's going to teach you the hard lesson. It is in the dead of winter. It is in the dead of the time period where nothing's growing, right? It's in that time period. So it's happy there. It's been there for 2 years, 3, 4, 5 months, somewhere around there. So it's been really pleased to be hanging out in its home energy. Aquarius, though, is its second home. Now, The ruling planet of Aquarius is, of course, Uranus, and we will discuss how Daddy Uranus is feeling right now and what his interaction will be. There's a lot of mythology behind this. It's actually quite interesting. Uranus, of course, was the father of Kronos, the father of time, the father of Saturn. Saturn upended in the Greek mythology. Kronos then took over and killed his father to take over. And then Jupiter did the same thing to Saturn. So there is this pattern of this male entity rising up. This male entity rising up and overtaking the current ruler so that a new era begins. That's exactly what's happening with this energy now. The current status quo of how all aspects of our lives, especially all aspects with Uranus down here in Taurus, all the aspects that we very much value are being upended. Yeah? Everything. Because the revolution has to happen. The revolution, the evolution to the next stage has to happen. The evolution to the next stage cannot occur if we remain in this, we're stuck in this earth energy. Cannot occur, cannot happen. Why? Because we're constrained by 3D earth and 4D time. Chronos, chronological, is governed by time, right? Chronos, time. So we're exiting a linear, the rule of linear governance, the rule of chronological governance that has been now interrupted. And now what we're moving into is the next phase of new thought, the next phase of new sociological global think, the next phase of how do I as an individual, how do I interact with, how does my way of thinking impact the collective? How does my way of being, what are the values that I hold dear, and how does that impact not only just myself, but my interaction with higher dimensional being, living, interacting? How does my individual, what I value, impact group think and group movement? Group movement. Now, you might say, okay, well, Aquarius, right, is Taurus and Aquarius square. I can assure you that we'll never get to a point, because of the forward direct movement of Uranus and because of how Saturn is going to be moving in Aquarius. It's ingressing, it's coming in now, but once it gets to about 2 degrees, right? 2, oh good God, where is that? Lovely, I have no idea. Degrees. Once it gets to 2 degrees, as of May 10th, I believe May 10th. Oops, I've typed the 20th. Once it gets to that point, it is actually going to actually going to go into retrograde. It's going to go stationary retrograde, and then it's going to go full retrograde, you know, a little bit later from that. All right. So 2 degrees on May 10th, it goes stationary retrograde, and then it's going to go back. Okay, so let's just put this here, right? It's going to go back into Capricorn. It's going to be in Capricorn for a while, a long while, actually. Let's see, May 10th, I got to look at my notes, guys. From I think it's in July that it goes back. In July that it goes back. But just know we're going to have this moment of time where we can kind of review what's going on, where we can look at what we've already learned in Aquarius with Saturn there, and then kind of reset and integrate that into our foundational think. All right? Integrate that into the foundational think. Now, the interesting thing, we know that Aquarius is the, technological advance, but we don't always think of it as the high spiritual advancement. We don't think of it in that way, right? We don't think of it that way, and we need to, because not only is Saturn coming in, and now it feels like it's very comfortable in Aquarius, because now it can actually kind of express itself in a different way. It can look outward instead of looking so far inward. It can look outward and say, what grand changes can I make now that I am no longer being restricted by third dimensional energy. Now I have this broad air energy that doesn't know boundary of Earth, right? It doesn't know the boundary of Earth. And if you think about it, the wind can pick up and go when it wants to. The wind can die down when it wants to. The wind goes where it wants to go. It is not constrained. Now, we do have some structures like the jet stream and so on and so forth, but the wind can decide to swirl around over land and create a tornado. The wind can decide to pick up over water and create a typhoon. Wind can do a lot to impact. Wind can pick up on fire and escalate and spread a wildfire. Wind has a lot of power, but is very difficult, if at all, to contain. So this new concept, this new construct can and will actually spread quite quickly. So now Saturn, in its beauty of structure, of time, of how do we maneuver, of foundation, of karma, of lessons, all of this wonderful energy, it is not constrained now in Aquarius by third dimensional energy. And dare I say, I keep hearing, neither fourth dimensional energy. This is a transformative, this is a quantum energy. This is because, right, Uranus changes things on a dime. Uranus is a little bit rebellious. Uranus is a little bit, let's do the darn thing. Like, it's not that Plutonian kind of, let's plan it and let's just keep it all within, and then eventually we'll show ourselves without. Uranus is like, no, everybody around us has to change. This is a restructure, a rethink of how we thus far have operated on this earth. So welcome to everybody that is on my Instagram. Welcome to everybody that's on YouTube. I haven't yet had the ability to say yes, hello to. We are on both Instagram and Facebook. Now, this influence here as it begins Aquarius, as it is in Aquarius, it even though it never fully comes fully square, because right now, Uranus is at 4 degrees in Taurus, it's going to keep moving direct. Saturn is going to come in to 2 degrees and then move backwards here in a couple of months, or going to retrograde in a couple of months. It is still going to feel very catalytic and cataclysmic. It is still there, within orb of the square, saying, yep, what we value, higher thought, what we value still does need to change and still does need to grow. Saturn, this is going to be a much longer cycle, like this kind of coming in, going back, letting us integrate, is really showing us is heralding a much longer cycle that's actually going to begin at the winter solstice, when Saturn and Jupiter actually come conjunct in Aquarius, right? On December the 21st. Now that hasn't happened. Oh my gosh. Well, that's not going to be till 2020, on December 2020. Yeah. So December 17th, Saturn settles in to Aquarius, and until March of 2023. So Saturn's going to go into retrograde for quite some time. And then it's going to then we're going to see Jupiter and Saturn being conjunct. And let me tell you something, that is nutso. This is going to be a huge change, because we're going to see a lot of new inventions in tech and a lot of new advances in technology. But I feel for the light worker and the light bearer, what we're seeing is a huge quantum jump in how we interact with energy and how we in fact channel the higher dimensional energies into the third dimension, right? This is going to really show, we're going to see a lot of governmental or rulership, and this can be actual political, this could be social, celebrities, things of that nature, influencers. We're going to see a lot of karma being shown, displayed, and then it being executed. Our eyes are being opened to a structure that heretofore was actually hidden. Now, where do I see that from as well? I see that from down here. Oops. I see that down here in the, in what's happening in Pisces at the present moment, with Mercury and the Moon coming up towards Neptune. And interestingly enough, from Saturn's perspective, if Saturn were being born today, welcome everyone that's coming in on Instagram. I am on Instagram and YouTube at the same time. I'm showing you my screen so you can see the chart for Saturn as it is now ingressed and entered into Aquarius. From Saturn's perspective, the powers of fortune, you guys may remember, I've been talking a lot about this lately, because this is where galactically, globally, we're finding a lot of, that's where the abundance is. That's the focal point, if you will. So from Saturn's perspective, the powers of fortune is actually really close right here, in with Neptune, the granddaddy of them all, the spiritualist, the highly intuitive, and in the first house, according to Saturn, if it were born today. So in its identity, Saturn, as it comes into Aquarius, it is taking on this identity of spirituality, intuition, illusion, but also revealing the illusion, right? Lifting up this, delusion to now show us what the illusion really is. And it's guiding us in how to think about this as the moon comes past and it's getting ready to come into a new moon with Aries. And here comes Mercury, just fresh out of Aquarius, fresh out of its little retrograde. And, when a planet goes back and it comes, goes into retrograde and then re-enters into a sign, it's kind of gathered some more information. And now it's like, okay, I took a time out, went back to clarify some things, and now I'm coming in. So really expect to see the illusion, expect to see the simulations, expect to see the group think about everything that we thought we should be holding true as has been part of our identity. This is also where I see a lot of the spiritual identity being changed, right? And coming into an evolutionary period. This is where I see that spiritual identity for us who are awakened and are awakening. Now we're really coming into the who am I really on a spiritual, esoteric, metaphysical, however you want to cut it. Who the heck am I? What is my identity? And Saturn being in Aquarius is giving us this glimpse into not only who you are in your root identity, but how you, as a light bearer, light worker, as part of the collective energy, how you relate to the collective and how important your work is to the group. Good Lord, I've been doing this for how long now? This is like the call to me. You're going to hear different perspectives from different people that study astrology and other energetic interaction with the third dimension. But for me, this is my call to my light workers, to my starseeds, to my indigos, to my warriors, to all of you. Hey, hello, come on home. I need you to come on home so that you can gather up, right? This is another reason why we're self-sheltering, sheltering in place. You needed to come home, baby. Let's not forget that, let me get rid of this. Really? Okay. That we still have the north and south node axis here. We still have the north and south node. Are you serious right now? Here in Capricorn and Cancer. And in the 5th house. So according to, again, this is from the perspective of Saturn. I'm not doing this from the perspective of us. This is from the perspective of Saturn as of right now. Okay? Saturn sees the north node in Cancer in the 5th house. What is the 5th house? What is Leo energy? What is that 5th house all about, right? This is inspiration, this is family, this is creativity, this is all of these things, and let's, right? Loyalty to family. This is where we're to be aspiring to. And this up here in the 11th house, groupthink, higher thought, right? Back here in the south node in Cancer back there is saying we gotta move this groupthink from this really individualistic, it's all about me and it's all about these current structures, and move more towards the esoteric, right? We're the Cancerians, we're the psychics and the mamas of the zodiac. Move more towards this creative expansion of your spiritual psychic abilities. That's what, but be loyal to your family. Okay? Come on back home, because here mama's gonna take care of you. Okay? Mama's gonna take care of you and help you comprehend where you're supposed to go before this moves back here, right, into Gemini. And that's a whole nother story, y'all, for another day, because Venus is going to be coming into Gemini. It's going to go stationary, retrograde. That's a whole lot. And we'll talk about that as we get more towards the summertime. But understand, from the perspective of Saturn, that is actually in its 12th house. So this is its karmic house. Life lessons. Let's think about what we did before and how can we reapply it. Let's clear out the rest of the karma. But also, how are we going to ascertain what our spiritual identity is? Because in your spiritual identity, beloved, and discovering your spiritual identity, beloved, that's where you're going to find your fortune. That's where you're going to find your abundance. That's where you're going to find your completion. That's where you're going to find your satisfaction. So if you ain't getting no satisfaction, this is where you find it. In your cosmic, spiritual, higher self entity. Identity. Identity is we are seeing lines drawn. Identities are being drawn. Not only that, we're seeing soul families coming together, spiritual families coming together, tribes coming together, and Uranus down here is saying, you bet your bottom dollar it needs to. This is what you need to value, while we still have Venus here, of course. This is what you need to value over all the individual stuff that you've been seeking lately. There's nothing about balance or anything like that happening. No, this is all about you changing your mess up and us realizing who we are and awakening to who we are in a very real way. Now, all the while this is going on, here we go. Oh boy. Mars and Pluto. And here's Jupiter. Mars and Pluto conjunct. So not only do you have Chronos, not only do you have Saturn coming into its second home saying, let's get this group think going, let's get this higher thought going, let's get this elevated frequency going, let's think about how we are to interact with one another and stop being separated. If y'all remember when I talked about the equinox, that something significant that happened at the last time we had an early equinox was that the Supreme Court here in the U.S. came down and constitutionally upheld separate but equal. Interestingly enough, the last time this has occurred, Martin Luther King Jr., the civil rights movement, no longer accepting the status quo of separate but equal, but instead, how can we all come together as one human race, as one group of American citizens, and all be equal? Because it doesn't matter the color of our skin, yes, or our gender. Now we're going to come into this. It doesn't matter your gender. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation. It doesn't matter any of that. Right? We should not be separate and consider ourselves but equal. Now it's a coming together and true equality, and not being based on who you are as a avatar, but who you are in the spirit realm. Are you with me? That's the last time this happened. Oops. Oh, Lord Jesus, help me. I hope I I didn't just X out of that. Okay, good, I'm back. Hello everyone on Instagram and on YouTube. So that's the energy that we're, see, this is why it's so very important to understand not just the current transit, but the past transit. Back in 1962, the Jetsons premiered the first animated color TV series about a family living in the space age. The Jetsons. Okay? This is not, I will tell you, but AI is not just gonna like take over. There's gonna be a different set of social mores. Expect for that. About rules and partnerships, agenda rules and all of this. Let me tell you something. While the North Node is down there in Cancer, in the 5th house, according to Saturn, that's Saturn's perspective. It's saying, now I'm gonna go somewhere y'all might not be ready for me to go, but I'm gonna go there anyway. The 5th house is typically ruled by Leo, right? Or it is Leo's house, right? The 5th house is Leo's house. Leo is ruled by the sun. Leo is considered a masculine energy. I do assign energies, masculine and feminine, to signs, houses, and even planets. Because there's a definite more so masculine than right? It just is. And that's okay, because we need both in order to create. But while the North Node, from Saturn's perspective, is in Cancer, in the 5th house, which is typically what? Masculine energy. This you are seeing, we've talked about the rise of the divine feminine. We've talked about Gaia. We've talked about, well, not me maybe, but everybody been talking about that, right? Your Mother Nature, Mother Earth, Gaia energy. Remember that Gaia, if you know the astrology, Gaia was the wife of Uranus, the mother of Kronos. Hello? Hello? Mother and father, or mother and son now have to actually mother and father, because I'm just going to call it mother and in Cancer and Aquarius over here, where Saturn is coming into. The sun is coming into the father's house now. The sun is coming into the father's house. Only this time it's not for an upheaval and a takeover. This time it's for an elevation and a restructure. It ain't worked the way it's been working. So now we have to, we've already been seeing gender roles and everything being changed. But now I feel very strongly, and this is just me channeling this, so this is not a what have you, but I feel very strongly we're going to actually come into a time where we will respect feminine energy. Actually respect it and not keep trying to push it down and subjugate it, and understanding that this is an equality. Remember what I said, what was going on in the United States during this last time that Saturn was transiting Aquarius. We had civil rights movement. We had JFK was in office, the youngest president, changing things globally. So much changed globally. How we worked with each other changed globally. That wasn't the last time. This was in the 60s, the time before last. The last time in 1991, all the way through 1990, but in 1991, the Communist Party, the wall fell. The KGB was dismantled, so people coming in and being able over there in the Soviet Union, their power was taken away from them, so that fear could be, people could then begin to flourish. Different types of electronic, right? The internet, Y'all, some of y'all is too young to know this, but believe it or not, the internet wasn't what it was now back then, okay? We saw all sorts of newer technologies like the internet, Apple, Windows. I thought Windows was never going to last, child. I was like, oh, this is trash. Because I was in the DOS world. I thought it was trash. Okay? We're also seeing right now that there are large companies that are trying to do things to be able to control this global economy, guys, is actually hindering individual growth rather than assisting it. And the revolution is us taking our power back. It's taking our power back and us bringing it back to the individual for the betterment of the group, because the group as a group of individuals knows better what's good for it than a company or a government. So you are seeing right now with the CV stuff, with the sickness, as my granddaughter calls it, the sickness, what the sickness is doing, it's forcing us to come home. It's forcing the global economy for people to come back to manufacturing here and taking the power away from the globalists that would very much love to remain in power. Trust me, global businessmen would love that. Central banks would love that. Do not be surprised when the financial system, it's going to continue to undergo a change, but when we come out of it, we'll be in a better space. That personal transformative energy of Mars and Pluto, y'all have had a ton of time. Y'all have had a lot of time while Pluto's been hanging out in Capricorn. And we've been talking about personal transformation. Now Mars is saying, okay, look, you know what? This Mars-Uranus trine here happening right here. And Mars does not mind being in Capricorn at all. It's like, all right, let me start this fire. And it's coming up, and Mars and Pluto like to play together. You know, they brother and sister. They love that. So now it's like, we ain't got time for it. Listen, change it. Do it. So if you've been feeling like I've got to do this now, this is why. Let me see if there's anything else. Also, because of this rise of the feminine energy, that's why you're seeing, and the group, right? This group think, group protection. That's also why you're going to be seeing a lot more people that have harmed women and children come and get their karma. Trust and believe that. I'm not going to talk about the Jupiter and Saturn conjunction right now because that's just too much. Ooh. I don't know if this helped y'all at all. Let me get back so I can see the chat. All right. Hello, everybody that's here. Sorry, I have not been. I was in the midst. All right. I'm back. Let me go back here. Okay, Instagrammers. I'm back here too as well. I want to open the floor up. I don't know if I'm going to open the floor for questions right now. We've been on 44 minutes. This is what I want to say right now. I'm going to do I needed to let this sit and simmer for a little bit. If this darn thing don't come on, you know what? This is going to tick me off to no end. I'm going to come back and do a StreamYard later on today. I have some things I got to do right now. I'll take a few questions now, but I want to have a more in-depth discussion. And I think what I want to do is not only have a discussion about this further, but I want to give you all a chance to ask about your purpose, your gifts, where you're at. I want to give us a chance to have that discussion as well. Okay? Oh, good, Ashley. I was thinking about you. I'm glad to see you, baby. Hey, Frias. Hey, Janet. Hey, Ryum. So what do we have here? Do we have any questions right now that y'all feel like you want to ask right now that I can perhaps answer? Also, again, I'm having 40% off all live sessions. That includes packages. So 3-month or 12-month packages. This is an excellent time for us to really dive into who you are, right? Dive into who you are and where your gifts are and what your purpose is. So that's why, and I know a lot of people have questions. That's why I'm doing the 40% off. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions. I'm going to sign it on off because y'all got a lot of stuff to do today. And I ain't ate nothing. I ain't ate a thing, chicken wing. I got to eat. Keep my energy up. Okay, so I'm going to get back on later. I've got a couple things I got to do. So I'm going to get back on a little bit later today. Give me a few hours. We're going to do a StreamYard. Okay, operator, since there's going to be a retrograde, what work can we be doing now to prepare for that second pass? So that's a great question, operator. What we can be doing right now is taking advantage of, let me do this. Let me put this back in here. Oops. Delete. Hold on, gang. What we can be doing right now is taking advantage of this transformative energy. I'll put it in red. This transformative energy here. Pluto, Mars, and Jupiter conjunct. Really go deep within oneself. And this Mars, this energy right here. Mercury, the moon, and Neptune. Go, and because this is sextiling each other. This is happy. Going deep within and I'm telling you, you know, you can dig it out, babies. Dig it out. Let me do this right here. Sorry, guys. Dig it out. Go within and figure out who you are. Go within and say, oh, what are my gifts? Really working on the ascension energy and awakening process. Hopefully a little bit later on today, I'm gonna put up the class that we had live, but we'll put up that class for third eye activation and crown chakra opening. So I'm gonna get that up as well later on tonight. So these are things we should be working on. Okay, honing our ears and our knowing of what that spirit, what we actually sound like. Not only what do we sound like, but what does spirit? What does source sound like? What do our ancestors sound like? What do we sound like? That's really what we should be doing right now. Above all else, this is a time for us to get to know what truly get to know ourselves. With my Saturn in my sign, yeah, Janet, I'm gonna update your your birth chart. There's something very special for you, so we'll talk about that when we go through your birth chart. And I send that to you. That'll be within about the next, I don't know, 40 minutes to a half hour. But if you have Saturn in Aquarius, this is going to be especially, or Leo. If you have Saturn in Leo or Saturn in Aquarius, this is especially impactful to you. I think I have some notes on that. But this really is your sense of community and restructure, and your sense of personal restructure for higher good and higher thought is going to be on point. And I really believe that those of you that either are Aquarians, sun sign, Saturnian, you have Saturn in Aquarius as well, especially moon in Aquarius, you are really going to be impacted and on the front lines of this. Being on the front, we're going to be looking to you to come to give us the channeled information to really be on that front avant-garde cutting edge. And Leo too. Leo, it might be a little more irritating for you because y'all don't really like a lot of change. So it's going to be very impactful for my Leo sons as well. However, if you really grab this energy and can integrate it, it can assist you, Leo, in how you assist the global group, how you assist the family, right? How you lead. Well, Gemini Princess, we all can be doing that, but we need to be doing it times 10. And I don't mean to sound harsh, so please, nobody take this as harsh. But the level to which we've been meditating and working on ourselves has to increase greatly. And we have it's time to take that super serious. So this is my Capricorn rising coming out. It's time to take it super duper serious. It's time to take it to a point where we're not just looking at it to assist our third dimensional self, but we're looking at our ascension and our awakening and us doing our work as a critical piece to the rest of humanity. A critical piece to healing the earth, a critical piece to assisting the earth in her ascension process. Well, the understanding will come. I was just reading a part of a poem from Kuan Yin, the Buddhist goddess of mercy, compassion, yes, and karma. And in a section of that, it said you basically you're awakening, but you don't understand it. That you have to remember to look up to the heavens, and in the Milky Way filled with stars, know that remembering is a process. It's a process. It doesn't happen immediately. There's this grand expanse of the cosmos and the Milky Way even. And we cannot expect in our humanity to comprehend everything immediately. So waking up to who you are is a process, and don't feel like you're behind the curve in one sense. Just get on the train. I need y'all on the track. If you can at least get on the track, I can help you move it along. Task oriented and structure for your career growth. Yes, but I also want you to get more structured in your spiritual growth. Again, not trying to say anything, but I have I get the feeling that your career growth and your spiritual growth, the career may change, or the career is going to be integrated into your higher purpose in a real way over the next 3 years. Yes, trust in the universe. Janet, ease back, baby. Ease back, Miss Janet. Don't push so hard. Your sun is an Aquarius. My Aquarians are really having a hard time right now. Um, Pull back. You don't have to understand everything immediately. Trust me, you don't. So I just need you to rest just a little bit. Just pull back a little bit and let the onion peel. Let the onion peel. Okay, you all, I have got to move this along. Okay, good. And I want this only to, I want only to be on for an hour. This is where we're at. Okay. I am going to go take a break and eat. Eat. Um, make some food and eat. I didn't make any bread today. I should have. Um, Homemade bread, child. But I'll do that tomorrow. And then updates to my natal charts, guys. I'm so bad. But we'll do that, and then I'll schedule a StreamYard for all of us to get back together. I did want to do the dailies tonight, but I might not get to them. All right. So when I do the StreamYard later on this evening, in a couple hours, it's not as late as I thought it was. It's only 2:30. Y'all, I felt like it was 4 o'clock. So we'll do the StreamYard about 5 p.m. my time. Don't y'all sit here and let me be the only one on the StreamYard, okay? Y'all better join in. I'm not for this. So y'all come in on the StreamYard. We'll probably pull some cards at that point. Probably. In between time, book your sessions. In between time, book y'all sessions over here on Insta. So we can dig deep. I got a lot to accomplish between now and the 24th, but we're going to get it done. The new moon's on the 24th. Okay? All right. All right, honey, let me get going. I'll see y'all in a couple of hours. All right? Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys so much. All right? Live life in spirit. Namaste. Bye, everybody.